ready to jump back in with our casters.
I'm live streaming, so if you want to
I
watch
cannot believe that the leaderboard is this close with only 2 games left. It's really anyone's for the taking, but that's the name of the game. We've saw some competitors really rise to the top early on in our first 3 games. Since then, it's been a whole new set of names.
Yeah, and I think that's what I like to see coming into the last couple of games, right? That's what you want. You want it to be close. Not for the players, of course. They would love it to be more clear-cut. Obviously, all of them wanted to be high.
Just watch my live stream. I'm watching it.
It is that ends the day with
Bro,
the most
imagine-
serious points. Because that's
imagine not
ultimately
getting
what these
free
guys are all
FNCS
playing
stuff
for,
from watching
heading
this.
into the third and final qualifier next week. And then, of course, the grand finals after that.
Yeah, and honestly, with
Don't care
4
about
games
that.
played already, you add in last week, you shouldn't really be caught off by too many surprises. I think the Mammoth is one of those things that players still don't have ingrained in their brain. That's in these games, and it's really costing them a lot due to that Mammoth. Will they change up? Will they adapt? We'll find out now, because Game 5 is ready.
Let's see who's going to wrap up the day in just the way we expect top teams to. Last couple games have to be make it or break it as we look to wrap up the day. And of course, this is something we've been following throughout. And in these first 4 games, there was Yomzo and Rise, or I should say Yuza and Rise, winning this fight pretty easily. And here in game number 5, they do it again. Yuza and Rise, 5-0 off sport.
I feel like it's just looking easier and easier, but that's exactly what happens when you have your drop spot that locked down. Very few players can contest you as Peterbot and Larson once again going at it against Quanti and Chimp. Quanti's going to be the first one going down, but it is going to be a trade. Chimp actually gets the siphon as well, so a lot of mats going on over to him to be able to use. Even third party coming in, tagging up Peterbot just a little bit. You can see him go into the building. He's trying to cover himself from that third party, heal up as much as possible. He knows whether this revive is going to go off or not, so he has all the time in the world to cement himself in this position.
What do we have here? Peterbot needs to finish the business against Chimp, but Chimp will be waiting with shotgun in hand. And now a little spray battle that Chimp will come out on top of, so very favorable. And he's just going to continue the aggression. Why stop now? I've already done all this damage. Not able to pick his teammate up in time, unfortunately.
Love where his head was at. I love the idea behind it. Knowing that Peterbot has to back up just a little bit, trying to take that time as they continue to play a game of peekaboo between each other. This battle means so much because it means the possibility of getting your teammate back into the game and having a chance at even more series points as Chimp drops back down low to the low ground, battling Peterbot for this piece control. I would imagine due to the siphon, Chimp has to have some sort of a lead when it comes to materials. A lot of it is being expended, though, to try to get these pieces, and that's where Chimp says, I have had enough. I've wasted too much time here on this one exchange. I'm going to try to disengage and get my teammate back, but that same decision is going to cost him all his shields. But a game of tag between Peterbot and Chimp.
Yeah, Peterbot said, yeah, this ain't over, brother. We are going to fight, whether you like it or not.
Both of them had enough. They're going to disengage and with action going down around the map. Miro and Cooper, who already have their spot secured in that global championship, going against Baka and Pars, and the shots and the just massive amount of damage coming out from Baka. He's only able to clean up one of those eliminations, but definitely gets a lot of surge for his effort.
Yeah, and you say going up against them, I wouldn't really say that. They barely saw him. They didn't know where he was getting shot from. A bird in the sky flying through is taking you out. They were focused on the planes in front of them. But like we've seen all throughout today, Jacob, it's like these players coming in from all different angles and sides. You know, you sort of almost never know where it's coming from. Just have to sort of be aware and be ready to react.
Yeah, reaction and how quick you react is really telling. If you take another look at the leaderboard, 1 point difference, even with eliminations in the early game. And then another point from third. We see Pollo and Sphinx just trying to rotate. Farm up, get as much resources as possible. Using the mud to try to rotate. Interesting to see a lot of our teams split up on these drops. Feeling so comfortable. See the replay. Revised. Wow, that was a haymaker. Who needs 12 rounds when you can knock them out in 5?
I like that. You've been practicing that one in the mirror or what? That was clean for me, man.
Top. Got a full-length mirror, about 5 feet tall.
Oh, man. Those are some really nice shots. And we've seen a lot of heavy-hitting shots today. I feel like that's been a big theme, not just with the Mammoth, with, like, people shotguns as well. Player fight and Static hitting a couple there.
Easy.
Okay,
Party opportunity. Booga and Thresh are just feeling more and more comfortable as each game goes on. OMG, Me Too, and POW. You gotta imagine. Both Booga and Threats, OMG, Me Too, and POW. Sure that they get the surge, they get the elimination. They just target this team because it feels like there's nothing they can do about it. But the players we talked about and heard from Crypt himself, Possess and Zuko on the other side, also becoming an annoying third party like a fly at a picnic, trying to shoo them away, but they won't go away.
Well, I mean,
Aegis and Kanata.
everyone's using the Mammoth.
Both
So,
players have been very impressive today.
really overpowered.
Kanata in particular, though, has 10 eliminations so far on the day. Up there with the likes of Yuza and Pollo in that regard. Dorito's up there as well, right? So, and Cold. The top 5 actually is Pollo, Dorito, Kanata, Cold, and Yuza. I wouldn't say many surprises there, right? A lot of them are the ones you'd expect to see in an elimination leaderboard all the way at the top.
Actually, be more surprised to not see him there
Yeah.
than to see them there. Especially since the Mammoth came in the game, it's easier to deal a good amount of starting damage and you can close the fight rather quickly. And you can see game after game, very, very similar rotations. The pathing, they have it down packed. They're conditioning a lot of the teams that do dare land around them to even not touch their loot. As everybody south of Mega City now has to rotate towards the north. And the longer you take to rotate there, the harder it's going to be, the more congested and more players you are going to run into. So timing is of the essence in a lot of scenarios. Fight not only dragged out, but extended from Lonely Labs. Where Static and Playify actually drop at. Usually you see that third that goes on over towards those. And how the turntables. But instead of fighting it, you see them just trying to disengage. They know the zone's already pulling towards the north. They're just trying to beat everybody there. Position themselves with a little bit of height. Try to have smooth sailing for the mid into the late game.
Zuko and Possessed have been probably one of my surprise teams of the day in terms of just performing above and beyond, I think, what many would have expected coming in.
Definitely. I actually want to see more of this team as this game does go on. See how they're rotating, playing around, how they're able to stay alive, keeping themselves within contention, currently in 5th place. They do have a little bit of a gap to kind of close between 5th and 4th place, which is Kanata and Agers, and then everybody else at the top of that leaderboard. But if they can make this game count, and then you combine the fact with maybe our top competitors go down early like they have in the past, we can see a new team rise to the top of leaderboards and possibly take first.
Yeah. Like the analysts are saying, it's close up there, you know? No guarantees, especially if you can't get a business done in these last two.
Especially with Baka already down. March by himself. Looks like he's just trying to get that reboot card. Disengage. They know what's truly at stake here. They have first place by 1 point with 2 games left. So many heavy fights going down already right out of the gates, and now they're going up against the Breacher. Luckily enough, Acorn has one as well. So fighting for this piece control is going to be important as Kanata and Agers actually push them back to take away that cash loot, but Kanata has to be careful. He has 1 bullet left in his shotgun. I would say at least he has the Mammoth in this scenario, but it's still not a feeling of comfortability as Agers finally shares on over some ammo. They get the piece control, forcing Acorn back yet again. This is one of those fights with the Breachers that can be so tricky, especially with a third party coming in. Kanata gets tagged up a little bit, but he gets the trade. Knock onto Acorn, which also gets cleaned up by Pate.
Let's take a look at that Elim again from Kanata. You see they're using that Breacher just to be so aggressive, and the good thing about the Breacher, obviously, it is a heavy shotgun, and we know the range that those things do possess.
That's why you see them kind of combining the Breacher with the Mammoth. No AR on Kanata, no Flapjack, no MK. So you can definitely see where they're leaning their game plan into. It's gotten them this far. No need to change it.
And that's interesting.
They're definitely setting themselves.
Well, it's interesting just because, like, a player like Kanata, you know, you sometimes expect him to be really getting in people's faces, right? Jumping in box and hitting those kind of shots. And you often want to have a spray weapon in those kind of situations. Right? He feels comfortable just rocking the Breacher and the Mammoth. And I mean, look, we saw players making hit 5 plays with it. So
I like this stat. Was an NA West guy myself. Majority of the competitors in that end game were from NA West. Pars being one of them. We saw him at least get Baka's reboot card. You can see him spotting off in the distance. Where is a safe place to try to get my teammate back? The original landing spot, not it. Twin Team Pledge have rotated from Lonely Labs all the way over there. So he's going to have to continue on looking where he's going to find it. But our top 3 is so close up until this point. Taco, let us know how some of these teams are doing.
Of course, Jacob, you have to remember the difference between first, second, and third is quite literally a singular point. And for Rise and User, you would think they've been uncontested all day because they are currently 5-0 at their draw spot, making sure to secure those extra 3 objective points from the vault and all of that precious loot, which has definitely helped them elevate themselves to top leaderboards. But also, Poyo Sphinx managed to secure a nice cache for themselves, and it's a lot of chaos. So finding this cache is going to be some very essential loot. But as for Pars, whether or not he's going to be able to reboot Baka, that's the question that remains here, because that first place spot is currently being threatened when the race is this tight.
That's just one of the natures of Fortnite. Top position on the leaderboard. We talked about the first half was a different set of names. This one, a whole separate set. And now Pars has a lot of pressure, to say the least, on his shoulders. Peterbot and Larson getting that Rift Island. 50 more points for their efforts. Tagging up a couple players, and both the Boogas, one of them being Batman in an exchange at the bottom. Rapid and Threats, their respective teammates doing what they can to alleviate some of that pressure. Peterbot and Larson have the comfortability and a little bit of elevation there to continue to farm up. They're separated from their opponents, so they have little to worry about compared to those that are box to box.
Pars still in pursuit of a reboot. He needs to find a window and an opening to be able to do so and get his teammate back into the game. He'll be much better off for it.
And you can see him, he's just looking. I like how he's not getting too greedy to try to go to zone. Just trying to take what he can get and move on, but the question remains how much he can handle in a lobby like this to try to get his teammate back as we continue to look ahead of our teams that are positioned at the leaderboard. Zone continues to move up, which is a little bit of a nightmare if you're Pars in this situation, because the zone continues to move up. It makes it to where very, very little safe spots to try to reboot your teammate. And you can see him positioned next to 2 direct teams with 2 more around the outside. So definitely has his work cut out for him in this lobby. Boyo just taking down Pam from across the map. Doesn't matter what rarity of the Mammoth. It's almost like a must-have in your loadout. Otherwise, you're behind the damage output curve.
Yeah. I'd love to see, you know, comparably to EU, how much of the limbs have been from the Mammoth and how influential it is. It's definitely felt very influential, to say the least.
Definitely telling as Duke's hitting another one on rotation. Making it look easy, grabbing some mud before he continues his journey. You can see him not trying to go to the slap dab center of that zone, more so trying to ride the outskirts. That way. Not only is this solo, he's below the damage threshold with Surge. Luckily for him, though, I will say that there is a few teams positioned up nearby. If they make the risky peek, that could be an opportunity for Pars to pick up some shots.
And if this game is going to just have to be a solo masterclass from Pars, he's going to have to be very meticulous as he moves through as a solo. But that only happens if he's able to get Surge and get this damage.
Lands at least 1 shot. Well above, especially with a couple of other players in the lobby being forced to interact with one another for the same thing. Possessed and Zuko do go down, flows down as well, and that's why you see such an impact on that Storm Surge leaderboard. A blessing in disguise for Pars. That allows him to save a lot of the shields, because it looks like he was ready to sacrifice the shield. He has minis, he has big pots. Now that he's 200 above the threshold, it's a whole different feeling and a whole new world for Pars. Relatively slow as a slow load. Oh, hey, Acorn's back. Welcome back to the game, Acorn.
Welcome back, Acorn. No shotgun for Acorn, though, and not even a Mammoth, so no heavy-hitting weapon. It's all going to be about spraying for Acorn.
I want to say at least there's a lever. But compared to a Havoc, I can see why he may be opting against it. Keep his legendary combat with the right shots, he could probably deal a little bit more damage in a quicker time. Rising User, just 1 point shy of first place. Just re-farming. They have some of the highest elevation up until this point. Just trying to make sure that materials match the situation that they're in. Only Aviv and Skittles can top them when it comes to high ground. As we continue to look and just check up on a lot of our teams. A moment ago, Pars was 200 above. Now he's 142 below and continuously falling with no opportunities in sight, or at least no safe ones.
Yeah, nothing's going to be gifted to him. He needs to work and fight for it. And unfortunately, Duke and Edgy are just such a hard domino to tumble over. It's like fighting through a big brick wall. He's not going to be able to run through it. He's trying to build over it right now.
literally no opportunities and a few seconds left. He goes down just at the tail end of that one. First place, he definitely kissed that one goodbye, but at least he has one more game to make up for it. No placement points being awarded so far, just single elimination. It's Bolton Thorpe. Another team, Chapter 4 Season 1. They won FNCS NA West before the regions combined. They already have their ticket to the Global Championship. It's all about building upon the foundation they've laid up until this point. And their team, you always see them towards the top side of the leaderboards, qualifying for solo cups, duo cups, and FNCS finals, so the potential is definitely there. As Rise and User being the focus just a little bit from Caskers and Revise, but they hold on to their position. And the spray is going to stop, allowing them to continue on, gathering this information, peeking through the cone. What is the right rotation? We're going to figure that out there in a few moments for Rise and User.
Boyan Sphinx, in the last couple end games, we've seen them try to be a team that dominates height, and it's worked out for them in those games. Will that trend continue here? I think they're going to try to stick to what's been working for them. But they also have to try to stick some shots onto these players and accumulate some more damage. Come on, boy, open up a window, take a shot with the Mammoth. I want to see it. That's how you really put yourself in a comfortable surge spot.
Definitely is high damage output and just a single shot. And that's just a body. Add on to the head as Acorn and Cold. Not too much above the damage threshold, but a team that knows how to play in every single situation, good or bad. Not too much of a worry. Even lands a shot onto Rapid trying to rotate. You can see when it comes to their Storm Surge, doesn't necessarily do too much to rise them up the ranks. As the rest of the lobby continuously getting proactive about where they're going to pick it up. First, the Slap Splash going down, so you know a rotation is going to be imminent for Cold and Acorn. On the other side, Caskers gets shut down. Him and Revise fall. They were looking good just a minute ago, but it goes to show 1 second is all it takes in Fortnite for your world to get tossed turned upside down.
Yeah, everything changes so quickly. Cold and Acorn, they're trying to change the fortunes of all these other teams. You see them trying to take that cone and place it into that box. But unfortunately, the other team were ready. They were expecting it. And so they reacted accordingly. Cold and Acorn, though, their journey continues in this game, and they will continue to search for a team they can capitalize on. And there is a player right there that's very low to them, only a couple boxes away.
I don't know what the West boys did in the second half, but now we have Defiable and Cyrazer taking the high ground. 9th zone, we've seen teams steal it in 10th and 11th, so they have to be careful not to get flanked. They can't turn their back and lose focus at any turn. Down low, Rise and User. Seeming like it's smooth sailing, but they come to focus. That's Acorn and Cold in the distance. Trying to get a little bit of revenge for a couple games ago. 484 above the damage threshold. That's not their worry. It's about safely rotating towards the next zone to where it is so congested, forced to recycle a lot of builds, and just like that, high ground's taken away. They go to the front side of even Skittles, and they build right on up.
Duke and Edgy towards the front side of this zone, and they want to make sure their layer is clear, so they'll look to aggress onto Poyo and Sphinx. But look how good Poyo and Sphinx are running ahead of them and claiming that space, and now it leaves Duke and Edgy in a tough spot. Peterbot and Larson, they know plenty about tough spots today. They've had to fight out of them all day long. And even though they haven't always been successful in those fights, they'll try their best here. Very much looking upwards, Peterbot. He knows which direction he wants to go in. Poyo and Sphinx, though, we saw them on the low ground a couple seconds ago. They're now having to play catch-up as they run and try and wrap around the zone back towards the front of it.
Yeah, luckily for them, they preemptively popped the Slurp Juice, knowing they were going to have to stagger themselves in the zone if they wanted a safe rotation. Still yet to make it there, but you see them going up a few layers before that is going to be a possibility. High ground still being held by Aviv and Skittles. Contested for a short moment before they immediately drop back down. Rise users, they're trying to gain this piece control. They have another team towards the low ground. They're trying to make it a focus. They're trying to stay ahead of them as well. Block off their path. Give them no way to go but out.
Yeah, they are so good at just pinching teams in and making them feel uncomfortable in these end games. But now it's about finding the clear layer, finding some space, because you don't want to be caught running in the back. One of the few end games you've got to see them together in the past couple games, and so let's make them. Most of it is what they'll be thinking as they jump on in. Rise jumping into boxes. He's the aggressive one right now. You expect to see User making those kind of plays, but Rise will never shy away. And again, running back into the zone, wrapping around where they can.
Yeah, truly showing that both of these players are a jack of all trades. They just play into their specialty, and it didn't work last game, but Kanata and Agers try again. They have the high ground for now, but can they hold on to it to the very end? Rise being forced back, trying to aid User. They're both getting backed up. Multiple shots coming in from different angles, but he makes the smart play to disengage, stay ahead of all this madness. You don't want to fall behind the curve, especially with the zone moving up the mountain.
You can see them now focusing their attention to these players in the back. Big shots from Rise, trying to connect with more. But he has to wait a moment. Now jumping up, players falling down. Both these players getting split for a moment. Rise, you need to use the med miss, not a big pot, my friend. And make his way back forward. Users claiming space, and so when Rise does eventually get back into the zone, if he can get back into the zone, there will be a tarp waiting for him. And he needs to try and dodge these players, but he doesn't want to dodge anything. He wants to just fight, and fight is what he'll do. Convict gets taken out by Rise. And I might not be the last player to fall down at his hands. User finally falls. They weren't able to get to each other, and that really did cost him. But now it's up to Rise to continue these solo heroics.
Yeah, win or lose, Rise has dealt so much damage to the leaderboard, but Kanata and Agers, it's their chance to shine, their chance to rise up the leaderboard to 2v2, and they have every advantage in the book, including all the heals. But Agers, he's playing it slow, he's out of materials, the Breacher coming out from Kanata, trying to cause destruction, cause some confusion, not let Bryson Chubbs know exactly where they're coming from, as Kanata once again staying ahead of the zone. The heals, very, very minimal, if any at all, so it's now or never. You have to finish the fight. Chubbs gets dropped, so does Bryce. Kanata and Agers, toe-to-toe, they take the game.
I said I wanted to see the signature win from them today, and they gave it to me in game number 5. Jacob, these guys have been so consistent throughout the day. No other team has really been as consistent as these guys when it comes to making it to end games. But finally, securing the victory royale and doing it in emphatic fashion as well. Look at some of these shots Agers was hitting from above.
Yeah, it's huge for them to be able to take this game in the fashion that they did, because we saw Baka and Pars go down. We saw a lot of solo play. They started the game in 4th place at 172 points. This is a huge moment of opportunity for them to possibly get 2nd or even 1st, because you got to also take note, Rise and User also stayed to the very end of that game with the leaderboard this close. Who knows who's on top?
Yeah, look, I really want to know who's on top, so I'm going to send it to the analyst to quickly break it all down so we can see that leaderboard and see who's on top.
Thank you guys so much. Game number 5 is all done. And after game number 1, Agers and Kanata, they said 2nd place was not good enough. We would like to add a victory royale to the day and come back here in game number 5 to lock it down. And with 8 eliminations. They want that 1st place spot, Vivid. They are saying, this is our day. We need to push it. We need to treat this like a grand finals coming up, because we have to make sure we're going to globals.
You said it, they want that 1st place spot, but 1st place spot will be the question. Who actually is going to find themselves up on top? But Kanata and Agers found themselves on top of the lobby this game, and finally we see them on height with enough materials to kind of survive throughout the rest of the lobby, apply enough pressure to deny access to anybody trying to contend it, because I feel like every single time we tune into them, in whatever endgame they were in, they were kind of looking towards high ground, or they had it at one point during the game.
Yeah, of course, last game they were a little bit more scuffed, so they actually, improved over that last game and improved their material management and, of course, those refreshes. But ultimately, up on the high ground, it was that Breacher shotgun from Kanata that really just kept them applying the pressure onto the players down below. Nobody had a chance at even looking up at the high ground because they were just getting constantly fired down. Kanata was doing a great job at that. He spoke about it as well, the Mammoth pistol at the beginning of the show. He likes to use that as well, and even using it in conjunction with the Breacher shotgun. It's a match made in heaven, and what a fantastic win for them.
That's right. Okay, I've gotten word. Standings are coming up, but really quickly, let's set the stage here for you. Remember, we're playing 6 games. Then at the end of the day, wherever a duel places, they will look to put points on the series point leaderboard. After 3 weeks of that, they take the top 50, and they go to grand finals. So right now, crucially, many duos have to try and find themselves in that top 10 if they want to hope to be in a good spot to make grand finals. With that said, let's take a look at the standings. Let's see how things are going. A single game left to go here, and NA, and it all could be the difference. Now, User and Rise, remember, if maybe you're just tuning in, you missed the first 5, welcome. Don't miss out on this last game. But these guys have held the lead. They missed qualification in Major number 1. They want to end the day in first place because that would be huge for the duo. Now, also, Agers and Kanata, they're creeping up, right, Vivid? After that Victory Royale, after those 8 eliminations, they're saying, look, first place, you're not that far away. You slip up, it's going to be ours.
Finishing game number 5 right there, 3rd place, 6 eliminations. But the thing for me is that it was a complete switch up in terms of the playstyle. I mean, we've seen them consistently look for the high ground throughout the day when they've made it to the end game. But look at their position right here. They're completely on the low ground, and they just worked the boxes around them and looked for eliminations throughout the entirety of this end game. And they still had so many heals and so many mats to work with.
Yeah, they did. And this is the result of when they're both alive in the end game. In the last couple of games, we've seen one of them go down and one of them have to clutch up in the latter stage of the game. But although they did get a little bit split here, they got a little bit sort of separated from each other, but Rise managed to clutch up with some crazy eliminations. It's all about staying together. It's all about staying alive in this end game. And when they are together at the end game, these are the results.
Man, I'm stressed. I'm already stressing out, okay? Classic Zeke, let's just stress out in game number 6. Why not? Let's go back to the standings. Let's call out a few more things here. More duos to look at. Of course, break down what they pulled off here in game number 5. Take a look. Acorn and Cold. Hey, jumping up 2 places. Okay, I'm down for that, right? Now, remember, these guys, they're already through. They have their global spot. They're fine. But now they want to turn attention to everyone else and just say, hey, listen, we can play spoiler on you. We can make sure we gatekeep you a little bit. Now, how, if this is globals, Vivid, do you think that right now they are in proper form to compete with all of the regions that will be at LAN?
Acorn or Cold, I mean, yeah, I feel like this game, throughout some of these games right now, they're probably just having a little bit of fun, right? They're just kind of running around. So the performance probably isn't the best or what, you know, they can definitely do in each and every single one of these games. But I think we sold our full form in game number 2 there, where they did get that victory round. They had 12 eliminations.
Yeah, we've seen them adapt a lot today as well. Those mid-game rotations, we've seen them be their demise earlier on. So they've actually adapted, they've actually learned from how the meta has shifted and how things have played out, especially with those Mammoth pistols. They've already had a few issues with those in the beginning. So now they're actually finding out how to make it to the end game successfully together as a duo. And it's just incredible.
Yeah, and I love that too. Jacob kind of called that out at the beginning of the game, right? Some duos, they're still trying to adjust to the Mammoth, right? They're kind of used to playing this old play style, but you have to be cautious. Now, one more time, those standings, we've seen that top 10. I think we kind of need to kind of set the stage because remember, we still have 11 through 20 to talk about as well. Only a couple more minutes here before we jump back into all of the action. I'm hyped. Vivid, are you excited? Because I'm stressing. Stress levels are through the roof, bro.
You know, I feel like when we're looking at the leaderboard, the top 5 teams, right, they've all pretty much made it into grand finals at this point because they had, you know, solid finishes in week number 1 and now week number 2 as we go into game number 6. But yeah, a lot of those teams got to step it up. We talked about, you know, teams earlier on where they didn't play together in week number 1. So they have 0 series points for that week.
I mean, something that I noticed about the leaderboard as well, it was Rise and User. They have 15 of those objective points. That's the difference for them at the moment. So they're actually able to get that vault more often than not, and for them, it's working.
Well, this is it. One final game, objectives, victory royales, eliminations. No one can make a mistake. Let's do it. This is the final game of week number 2 in NA.
It is time, Levin. It is the final countdown, the last go-around from teams, and what was once a close leaderboard has spread out just a little bit more.
Yeah, look, we're looking at all these teams and we're going, you know what, you're the usual suspects. You're the ones we expect to be doing well. But it's been interesting to see how throughout the day, different teams have sort of popped up at different times with their breakout performances, and others have stayed consistent throughout the day. But ultimately, it all comes down to this last game now, as it is so close up there.
Yeah, and without Surge Week, this major, it's those top 50 teams, and that's why you're seeing the fight. Even at the lower half of the leaderboard, every placement means so much if you want to make that grand finals. And who will get that auto qualification in this week? We'll find out as Game 6 begins.
The final chance to lock in your series points before we head into the last week of qualifiers. There are some teams within NA right now who know their chances of an FNCS final this major are done. There are a lot of teams in this lobby who know that they will be playing in the grand finals as long as this last game isn't completely shambolic. And for Ryzen user, they finally have warded off the console team that has been contesting them all day long. And so it won't be 6-0 off spawn. It will just be 5, as that sick fight won't even happen. But I guess you can attribute this win to them, right? They've pushed them out of the way, Jacob. And so maybe we'll just say it's been 6-0 off spawn.
But why you
just for that reason.
That's kind of what I said was to happen. It's literally up to them if they get shut out or not. And I like the switch up in the last game and talked about the importance of the series points, even all the way down that
did
leaderboard.
Momo get,
As Peterbot
mad?
quickly gets
Did
back
Momo
up.
rage?
Quanti losing his teammate, so his game just got exponentially harder.
How did you? What did
Looks
you
like he's
rage
ready to give
at?
up the chase just yet. Has a good amount of
shoot,
loot,
my
has
place
a
is
good
about to
amount of
fall
materials
over.
as well. He's ready to fight for it all, especially in these final moments. And this is a challenge, a tough one that he's willing to take. Larson and Peterbot trying to stabilize themselves here in this position. We see them just holding on to their pieces.
I'm just
Peterbot popping a couple minis to get the shield back up, and that's not going to stop Quanti from dropping down low. Changing targets, that might have been a mistake, but both of them are weak. Larson peeks back through. He gets the knock onto one. Can he get the siphon? That is so important with Peterbot getting back down little by little. He gets it to come through. Quanti! Quanti with the
FNCS is
clutch!
getting ruined by
That
the
is what you want to see from Quanti. Making his former duo pay.
Well, not really.
Spitting
Not
right
really,
in his
'cause
face,
people
yeah.
run out of stuff,
You wanna drop
bullets
me?
quickly, so.
Here's a taste. That drum shotgun. Oh
Yeah,
my
it feels
goodness. You
so.
don't get to see it getting used often. But when it is used, well, it can be devastating. He should have won this. Ring around the
also-
rosies dancing around those builds.
People are getting
Quanti
demolished
makes
from
it
the air
happen.
by the
That siphon, that split
The-
second hesitation from Peterbot to kind
yes,
of rush in
and
before the
also
siphon was picked up.
the
Truly
pistol.
was the difference, but the Lonely Labs battle continues. Blake feeling the hurt, feeling the pain of the Mammoth. It's going to allow for 20 to run wild. Macwood by
on
himself.
Here they said,
Luckily
so
for him, it's just a lever. It's not
on
going to be
here
able to
people are
one-shot him
getting
just yet, but it is a
demolished by the
2v1. The
Mammoth.
pressure from all
like,
angles.
yeah,
Macwood gets
duh.
dropped first. Blakewood, he's trying to return. He's trying to lend that helping hand,
there
but
are
is it
also
too
people
little, too
with
late?
Just, with the,
Gotta imagine all the
bleacher
heals.
tips, very
20
annoying.
full health. Pledge getting there. He's ready to challenge.
And the
Blake's trying to battle with the high ground, but it's just
lever
not
shotgun.
enough. The trades that is going through is just whittling Blake down little by little by little,
Can you
making
hear
this
my,
near
TV?
impossible for him to try to survive with the med kit attempt. He needs 6 seconds. 20 and Pledge know it. They don't want to give him any time to work with. The side shot goes through, but Blake goes down.
Brilliantly done.
I don't think
From 20 and
Blix or
Pledge.
any of them are playing.
And they will wrap
like
up
any
the day
streamers, I
as
don't
the
think.
victors of Lonely Lads
not
here in
sure.
this game.
Well, Booga, the
But the fight
Booga
don't
people,
stop,
the
Jacob.
Booga
All
clan,
across the map,
whatever.
we've seen a bunch of fights
They said like the
all
Boogas
throughout the day
are
happen
playing.
relatively quickly, and it's Poyo and Sphinx now up against Bucky and Okis. And for Poyo and Sphinx especially, with just how
Yeah,
high
but
they are
Booga
positioned
and
in the
whatever
leaderboard, this fight is
teammates
make
are-
or break. They
This
cannot
is
afford
duos.
to slip up here.
It's duo FNCS.
Yeah, even though from last
I think
game to
it
this,
always has
it's
been
spread
duos.
up just a little bit. But they're down 20
sure.
points from second place, 31
This one
from
duos.
third place. It's definitely
I think-
achievable
I don't
in
know
this
what
game, and this
free
could be
item you
the
get.
battle that starts it all. But the
last
opponents they're
time
going
it was
against,
a
Bucky and
back
Okus,
bling, and
some
I
heavy
have
hitters
it.
in this lobby. They know how to
Same
fight with the best of them.
Joey.
So it's not a battle you do want to take lightly. Poyo and Sphinx just pausing, trying to formulate some sort of strategy. What's the play
Everyone
going
is
to be
using
for
the
them?
pump,
You see in your mini-map, Oki and
the
Okus
lever,
and Bucky,
or
they
the,
completely disengaged. They don't want any
habit.
more of it. They're not getting the shots that they want. So they're out of here.
Yeah. Some people are using the drum, but it's like off spawn though.
Oof. Ready for that peak. It's like he warmed him up for it. Peppered him, begging him to shoot
What'd you
back,
do?
and as soon as he does, just a massive haymaker of a shot. And those are the risky
Nice.
scenarios you end up in when going up against the Mammoth.
How many times are we going to talk about the Mammoth today?
So, like, everyone
long as
is
they keep
using
that-
the Havoc,
As
the
long
MK, and the
as it
Mammoth.
keeps happening through the 5 games, there have been 79 pistol eliminations in NA compared to 71 in EU.
What?
Okay. That's
Nice.
a little scary how not only are they opting to drop the AR overall, but the huge increase in
I probably
overall
have.
elimination.
I've watched a bunch of this. I probably will unlock the free item. No. Bub.